I never know if it's a good sign or a bad sign when I'm nervous for filming a video review, because I feel nervous today, but I'm like, I love this manga so much, why am I even remotely nervous? Happy Friday, friends! I am so very excited that you're here. Very excited to be featuring this manga series review. Like, oh my goodness, I love it so much. It has been such a long time where I put off reading a series because I was loving it so much. I was not ready to move on, and that series is The Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent. This is the manga. Sorry, I shared that all really weird, but this is the manga, volumes 1 through 7. Volume 8 comes out in January, and I am like so sad, so bummed. I'm like, we're caught up to the Japan release, and now we're getting the releases really slow, and I loved this series so much. I know I featured it in my TBR goals, and I met my TBR goal, which was really exciting, but I think I said in that video that I wasn't disliking it. I know I didn't say that. Guess I sort of was worried personally that why wasn't I reading this faster? But then when I read volume 5, the answer was loud and clear to me that I just didn't want to move on from this series. I had such a blast with it, and I just did not want to say goodbye to these characters. There's so much I want to say on this series. I actually sort of reread parts of it, well, starting from volume 1 up to volume 4 this morning, because I'm like, I want to give this series justice. I want to talk about it well, make people excited and interested in it, and go pick it up. And I think that's why I'm nervous, because I'm like, this series is up there with Snow with the Red Hair and how much I absolutely loved it, how much it meant to me, how much it touched me. But let me pause there in my rambles and let me tell you what this series is about in case if you're not familiar with it. Though, another pause, the second season of the anime is coming out this October, and I am so incredibly stoked. My husband watched season 1, absolutely loved it. I'm hoping actually starting this week that I can go ahead and start watching episodes, because I really want to watch the second season. Though, based off of what I've told my husband that happens in the manga, it seems like with season 2, everything is fresh. We don't have that manga or have that in the manga just yet in the States. And I'm like, oh my goodness, so very excited. So yes, that's coming out in October, the second season. I don't know. I think honestly, I don't know where this is streaming. I think it's Crunchyroll though. There is a light novel to this series as well. But talking about the manga, it centers around our main lady here. Her name is Sei, and she was in Japan. She's about 25 years old, is a very hard worker, very overworked at that. And suddenly one day she is just summoned to this world, but nobody pays her any mind because there was another lady that was summoned in this ritual to this other world. Everybody focuses on that other woman, and she's just left behind, and she's like, excuse me, what just happened? And they're like, we're so sorry, but you can't go back home. And she's like, what do you mean I can't go back home? I want to go back home. And she's really angry and upset, but she realizes that there's just no way for her to go back home. She has been summoned as a saint in this world, and the saint is what helps these monsters that are forming from masma or something like that. And the saint's supposed to help get rid of that, help get rid of the monsters and cut them down. Well, not necessarily literally, but just her presence and a few other things that help make the monsters not spawn anymore or come and be in this world. But since she's not the chosen saint, according to everything that's happened, she decides to make the best of her time and goes to the research institute. Well, actually, she sort of ends up there, but she joins the research institute and she starts learning about magic potions and how to make them, how she herself has magic, and exploring all of those new things. And slowly but surely, it starts coming out of wonder if she really actually is the saint, and what does that mean? And so this series unfolds with that premise in mind. As I shared before, there are so many things I love about this series. The first thing that came to mind was that if Snow White with the Red Hair and Savior's Book Cafe, if they had a baby, it would be this manga series, because there are so many elements. I feel like after reading volume 7, I feel like this series really goes along the same lines of Snow White with the Red Hair. Everything I loved about that series, which I do have a review if you like to check that out, read it this year, it was everything. And this series has so many of those similar vibes where yes, you have a plot, you have a story, but ultimately you are focusing on these characters. You're seeing the everyday lives, or yeah, into their everyday lives of what they're doing, of how Sei is dealing with being this supposed saint, what she's doing with her magical abilities, and how she's growing and learning as a researcher, which is something that was very important to her. In fact, I would say that if you love the glowing stone arc in Snow White the Red Hair, you will love this series. Shirayuki and Sei, if they ever met in real life, they would be best friends. They have so many common traits. They're both very hardworking. They care about the people around them. They care about people who may not be around them, but are in the country and want to help others. They do everything they can to learn and grow, again, as an individual and as a researcher, but ultimately so that they can help the people around them. They use the abilities that they have, the skills and the knowledge to, again, help other people. And I absolutely love that so much. There's actually a quote that is in volume 3, I believe. Yes, because anyway, volume 3 is weird. It has like the white paper, but all the other volumes are like that. Well, mine's still a little bit yellow, but I was like, why did you do this, Seven Seas? But as I was going to say, there's a line that I feel like just captures the heart of this main girl, of our character, and why I love her so much. And this is what she says: "What I really want is to live in peace and quiet, but that ordinary life is getting further and further out of reach. But when I think about how happy the nights were after what I did, I wholeheartedly believe that healing them was the right decision." And honestly, that is what fuels all of her decisions as she moves forward in this story. It is very chill. It is very laid back. Again, it's just like Snow White the Red Hair, where you're just joining in this everyday life, seeing them grow. And that is honestly what I deeply loved about this series. It is very chill. There's really no high stakes. And Sei is hilarious because she often quotes or often says how she is surrounded by very handsome men. And it's very true, which may seem like this is a reverse harem. It is not. It is not. We're going to talk about that romance because that romance is everything. I'm here for it. The breadcrumbs, chef's kiss. It is so good. I can't wait to see more of that unfold in like hopefully future volumes, because I even went and read reviews of the light novels. Like I think it was the latest one that came out. I'm like, please tell me some answers to some questions that I have internally. Sometimes though, there is a little bit of action. There's a little bit of suspense, probably more action than suspense. And there definitely are occasional moments where it's very, very intense. I think it's volume 4 where there's a campaign that the knights go on. Sei accompanies them because she has a lot of magical ability, a lot of power, and so she goes with them. It was very, very intense. And there's also a scene later on in this series where we see much more of that intensity. It's still not overwhelming, and I feel like just when those moments come up that I'm just super reading. I think I read volume 4 in like 30 minutes, and I was like, that was really, really fast. I didn't expect to read that fast. So I think if you're looking for a series that is just very comforting, very wholesome and special, and seeing Sei grow, where she's able to pursue her passions, that she's able to use her healing abilities to help others. And one thing that I really love that I feel like we don't forget as a reader is we sometimes see these comparisons of how Sei was treated by her boss in her previous, not her previous life, but when she was in Japan. We see how she was often treated and how she was so overworked. Her boss didn't really care about her well-being. In this series, no. Where is he at? Her boss, Johan, he's the director of the Research Institute, and I absolutely loved him. You can see at so many points throughout this series of how much he cares for her, not in a romantic way, but like he cares for her well-being. For example, Sei is so horrible about like when she learns how to make magic potions, okay? She will just make them all day. Like she'll just keep going. The director gets so not irritated, but more frustrated with her, like, again, like you made too many potions. Can you just slow down? And he actually at one point kicks her out of the Research Institute. He's like, it's your day off. Go relax on your day off. And if it wasn't quite that moment, then it was when she just made so many potions, because sometimes she'll get like lost in thought or she just gets overly excited and starts making them. And so he's like, hey, you need to rest. You need to relax. And when he doesn't feel maybe she's relaxing, he sort of steps in and helps gear her to go take breaks and such. And I really love that. And even when things come up and if people are realizing, hey, maybe she really is the saint, she's like, I still don't want to leave the Research Institute. I still want to try and live this normal life, even if it's getting further and further away. And he's like, I will do what I can for you. And he really does. He looks out for her at multiple points. I think it was at the end of volume 6 or volume 7, where she sees some of the things that he has done behind the scenes. And she's like, how much has he been looking looking out for me, and I just had no idea. And I really, really love that. They have such a special friendship. I love how he just gets annoyed with her when she makes too many potions, or she gets excited about something because she's going to be in a dangerous situation, but she's like, oh, there's going to be herbs. We don't have these where we're at. And he's just like, really? Really? You're going to be like this? They have such a wonderful and beautiful friendship that I really love. And going back to our main girl, one of the things I really appreciate that I feel like is maybe something that really draws me to a lot of main characters, especially females, when you have like isekai and they are obsessed with leveling up. Like they just become this leveling up junkie. They want to learn how they can make that number go up. And Sei definitely has this, especially in volume 1, but maybe even I say especially those first 3 volumes where she's just growing and realizing like, I can make this number go up. And then when she's making that number go up, then she'll think of another skill or something will pop up. For example, like cooking skill. And she's like, I am making this number grow up or go up. And she just gets so excited. I really, really loved it. And I feel like that is me. Like if I was ever to be isekai and I had like that little magical number and you can make yourself level up, yes, that would hands down be me. I love leveling up. Like that is definitely one of my junkie things in gaming for sure. I really like the overall story as well. I know I already said it was super chill, but I definitely feel like there is a plot that's moving forward. No, it is not fast-paced. And if you're coming and looking for all this high-stake action and you're looking for fast-paced stories, quick romances that just unfold in all of the ways and things, which we do have a little bit of that, it does not happen fast. Nothing in this series happens fast, but I would not say it is boring. I feel it's a very casual, relaxing pace that really knows how to throw in those action scenes when you need them, or seeing Sei grow in a new skill, or how she is learning new knowledge. Like something happens in volume 7 where it is life-changing for her. Maybe she should have learned that a few volumes sooner, but I really appreciate the timing that everything takes place, especially in that moment too, because Sei, I mean, she's always working in the sense, maybe she's not physically working where she's at the research institute, but she really doesn't take days off. And like, even when she does have them, she's going to the library, she's learning about herbs, seeing what she can do to improve her skills and again, just grow. So because of that, I feel like there's really not a slow point in this story because you're seeing her figure out and grow and learn and do experiments of how she can continue to improve as a saint. And I just love that. I think that is a critical part of the plot points in this story and why I feel like everything moves forward, even if it's not at this super fast pace. I feel like maybe Snow White with the red hair is a little bit, probably feels a little bit faster paced because we do have more action in that series, especially when we're having different point of views where we have like Zen and we have Shirayuki and we're seeing what everybody's doing. In this series, we're mainly just focusing on Sei. There are occasional times like we'll have like a bonus chapter and it'll be from another person's point of view and we're seeing what was happening during that time when we were originally with Sei. And I really do like those moments. I feel like there's actually a different kind of like intensity when those moments take place because you see sometimes how big the stakes are, or you're seeing how big this situation is because Sei's not seeing all of it, which obviously she wanted since, you know, she's not there to see everything. So I like when we get those moments as well. And I just really love this series. I'm thankful that there's danger at times, but I'm thankful there's no like big danger that ever happens and I don't have to be super worried. Or if like I am worried, I feel like it's wrapped up in that volume. Though with volume 7, it was so hard. It didn't leave on a cliffhanger. And thankfully, I feel like a lot of these volumes didn't leave on this like huge cliffhanger, like, oh my goodness, I must have the next volume. Grant, I wanted the next volume, but there wasn't that sense of urgency to get the next volume immediately. But with volume 7, some things unfolded and I was like, please wrap this up before this volume ends. And it didn't. Like it did, but it didn't. I can't go into more details about that. But I was like, oh, I have to wait for volume 8. And I just wanted to hurry up and be in my hands because I love all these characters. When I was thinking, I think it was just the other day that I was like, I I want some fan art of me, Shirayuki, and Sei. I feel like these two ladies are my favorite fictional ladies that I have read in like shoujo josei manga. I absolutely love them. I just feel like they have characteristics that I find deeply admirable, and time again, I'm just seeing how amazing these ladies are and how they are willing to put in personal sacrifice to help other people. Seeing them grow as an individual is very rewarding as well, and how they just never give up, even in their quest of research and growing in knowledge. They continue that. They continue to chase after and pursue their passions and their dreams. And I think that was very satisfying in this series of seeing Sei finally be able to pursue her passion of the like herbs and such. Like she's able to see like how some of the herbs in Japan cross over in this world. And she's like, oh, they have similar abilities and similar functions. And definitely one of my favorite tropes in isekai manga, I've realized, is whenever the main character introduces Japanese food and people are so addicted to it. They're like, this is so delicious. This is the best thing I ever had. We definitely see that in this series, at least on 2 occasions, and I deeply loved it. Though I thought it interesting that like it wasn't very strong Japanese cuisine in the sense of like, say maybe like rice balls. That's the only thing coming to mind at the moment, but say something like that where we associate like, okay, that is a Japanese or Asian style food. No, she had like one of them, she had like a not rotisserie chicken, but like roasted chicken was one of them. She made pasta at one point. It was very interesting seeing how they were not typical Japan cuisine. I was really surprised that, but it did not take away the fact of seeing how much these people really loved her food. Though there's things with that, because she is the saint and because she does have these magical abilities, it definitely affects the food and other things that are happening. And I really love when she's like, oh no, the double 50% curse strikes back in this moment, especially when it comes to potions. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And Sei is a very like she has strong expressions throughout this manga, especially when it relates or involves the guys, but especially, oh my goodness, the romance. Oh, Sir Albert, when she has her expressions around him, it is gold. It is so adorable. It's priceless. I deeply love it. And I'm just like, Sei, you're so cute and adorable, even though you're like, I feel so awkward right now. She's like, my heart's about to give out because of his handsome aura that he has. Sir Albert is amazing. He is definitely my top 10 favorite ultimate shoujo boys who are, or like shoujo josei, who are absolutely amazing. This man can do no wrong. I'm just like, he's on another level. I'm like, it made me think of Prince Chris when I was doing the review of Bibliophile Princess, and I talked about how swoon-worthy he is. Oh my goodness, Sir Albert is right up there with Prince Chris. I have loved seeing him, and it's funny because one of the manga, I don't know if it was volume 3 or volume 4, but like we don't see a lot of him in the first 3 volumes. Like we definitely have a very amazing, sweet moment in volume 2 that I absolutely adored. It was like volume 3 or 4, like where we got 2 different moments with him and Sei having this super romantic, sweet moment. And I felt like the last part of the volume was not as exciting. And I'm like, okay, I know it's not boring, but when we started getting more breadcrumbs of Sir Albert, oh my goodness, my heart could not handle it. He is just such the perfect gentleman. He's this knight, and I love how there's this trope where everybody's like, oh man, he's the winter knight. He never smiles or anything. And for Sei, she's like, what does he even look like when he's frowning, basically? I am a sucker for that kind of trope. Like, I love it when our main dude is super sweet to our main girl and he doesn't act different, but he does, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's his personality in general. I mean, I feel because like we barely see him frowning in this manga, and when he is, you know things are up and something bad is about to happen or something worrisome is really going on, and you're like, what's going on? Like, it's really nerve-wracking in those moments. And so I'm with saying that like I can't picture him not smiling. You know what I mean? Like, because he's just always so happy around her, have the little flowers going off, and he's just so cute. He's just so cute. Like, they are absolutely adorable together, and I really love how you can just feel and see how happy he is for Sei when she is like, he's like, how was your day? Are you learning new things? And she's like, yes, and she'll excitedly tell him, and he's just so happy for her. You can see the love and the support that this man has for her and how much he deeply cares for her. I'm 100% here for it. It is one of my favorite parts in this series, hands down, but I'm like, you know, don't forget, Lauren, like there's more to this story than just the romance, because I feel like it's increasing in the romance, but in the beginning it didn't seem like a romantic fantasy isekai story. It felt like more of like a fantasy isekai about this woman researcher. But we're seeing more of Sir Albert, and I'm just like, yes, I'm totally here for it. I mean, I need some merch of them. I need some merch of them as a couple, and I have not been able to find any merch. And I'm like, please, somebody give me some merch of this couple, because they're amazing. I can't wait till they're actually like a thing. Like that better be a thing later on in the series, because it's obvious that she cares for him, especially with like the developments in volume 7. Like, hello girl, don't deny the feeling. You know that you care for this man, and not just as a friend. Everybody around them, I mean, they know. The signs are there. It's super obvious. And there's other things that definitely play a role. And one of the people that actually does know for sure is this lady here. Her name is Liz, and I loved her. She is such a great friend. I really love seeing her on page. When I was rereading this morning and seeing her first come on the page, I was like, yes, she has always been there for Sei. She's always supported her, and the way that their friendship has grown, how they're able to be open and honest with one another is something I really treasured about their friendship. And Aria, who I'm not going to talk about, but I will just say that she is not who it may seem she appears to be based on the rumors that we hear as a reader. That was very, very good seeing that unfold. Though I'm just going to say right now that Prince Kyle, that man, if I could just bop him upside the head, I could not stand him. I was like, oh, like just rip him out the page. I mean, I get his motivation and such, but I hated his actions. I hated how he talked about a certain character, and I'm just like, out of any character that I did not like in this series, because I loved everybody, hands down, it was Prince Kyle. But that's all we're gonna say about him. Going back to Aria though, I really loved how things unfolded with her. I thought it was just so well done, and definitely wish I could say more, but I don't want to spoil it because it's a very slow thing that you start to learn more about her, you start to see a little bit more of her, and it's a very, very rewarding as a reader as well. And going back to Liz, again, I loved her. I loved how she usually has a small part in each volume, except for things later on in the series. It was just very beautiful. Like when she's on page, she does not sugarcoat things. Like she's not mean, but she's like, oh, Sei, you know, you look pretty nice today. Could it be that you're in love, maybe? And like, then she's able to sort of get things out of Sei and tell her things about what's going on, what a certain gift meant. And I love it. I love when she's on page. I love how she defends her in a later situation. They have a great and fantastic friendship. And I definitely hope that we continue to see more of that as this series goes on, because she is such a special and wonderful part of this series. Also talking about a special and wonderful part of this series, oh my goodness, Jude here. He is one of the first guys that Sei meets in the beginning. He's right here, and I love him. He is such a sweet, precious little being, and I'm like, please, manga artists, let us see more of him, because I love him. He's one of my favorite characters, and when he was on, like, he didn't have a lot of page time. I can't remember which volumes it was, but when he comes back, I did like a bunch of sob emojis in my review on Goodreads. So I'm like, he's back. I absolutely love him. I love his work relationship with Sei, and how they're just so funny. He even will tell her at times, he's like, Sei, you know the director's gonna be upset with you again because you made this many potions, and she'll like cover her ears and like walk off. And just, I absolutely love it. They just are so great. And Jude will give her honest compliments, and she's like, please don't tease me like that. And he helps her when it comes to the magic, and he definitely finds himself like in this one awkward situation, and he gets really upset. But I'm like, it was just too cute. It was just too funny. So I'm always really excited to see him on page, how he also cares for Sei. And I think that's another comparison of seeing how her coworkers, how they care for her and her general well-being, and they want her to be safe, especially when things come up with a night campaign later on. And talking about the night campaign, I don't have a picture of them, but I love the Third Order Knights. I think they are amazing. And though they don't play like a huge part of the series, they are definitely one of my favorites. You see them the most in volume 3. This guy here, he unknowingly has sort of like a fairly big reputation and role in this story, and I thought it interesting reading the original creator when she's like, he didn't even have a name in the light novel series, but people really like him in the manga, and I'm like, rightfully so. I'm glad that we see the Third Order Knights often, that Sei is with them, that she has sort of a special relationship bond with them due to events that have to happen, and how she's always helped healing them and giving them magic potions hands, and you can really see the affection that she has for these Third Order knights. Like, it's so great. And I haven't talked about this guy. This is the Grand Magus, and oh my goodness, I will be honest and say that when we first meet him, I thought he was a bad guy, and I felt so bad because he's not, but I thought that he was, and I was like, girl, you need to be on guard around this guy, because I'm like, there's just something off. But the thing is he loves magic. He actually quickly became one of my favorite characters because you could just see the love and excitement that this man has for magic, how much he loves seeing Sei use her magic and grow in magic, and wanting to hear all of the little details, like literally detail by detail, leave nothing out. He wants to know, especially when there is this powerful magical ability that Sei gets, and she's trying to understand. She's like, well, I've used it once. He's like, tell me everything. Like, he grabs her by the shoulders. Tell me everything you know. What exactly did you do? Even when we see him in action using his own magical abilities, he'll be off there humming, he'll be smiling, looking like he's having a grand old time. That honestly continues through the entire series. He always has a smile on his face. He is such a wonderful character, and I feel so bad that I misjudged him in the beginning and thought he was a bad guy. I feel so bad. He also has a really wonderful personality, and the funny thing is I feel like him and Sei have a lot of common characteristics, and how, at least with their expressions, you always know what they're thinking, at least usually, because it can be hard at times because he always has this really nice smile on. It can definitely be hard to ultimately know what he's thinking. Like, here, he looks like this. Doesn't he look a little bit shady, you know, a little bit sketchy maybe, but he's not. He is just really wonderful, and I just like how these two are so expressive, and how really they have a great instructor-pupil kind of relationship, and really love seeing that unfold. And there was like a little bit of a plot twist, in my opinion, with things that happen later on. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like, what's about to happen? What's about to happen? I will talk about two other characters. I won't say much about them because they pop up later, but I love Leo. Oh my goodness, he is so much fun. Like, you can feel the energy and the excitement that he has on page, and I am really looking forward to seeing more of him. He makes me laugh, and just he's a hoot. I feel like he probably for many is a favorite character. And the last person that I'm going to talk about is Corina. Is that how you say her name? I really loved her. I remember when I first got volume 7, excuse me, and I just randomly flipped through the volume. Don't ask me why I did that. Like, I haven't even read volume 1. What am I doing? Flip it through volume 7. But I remember really liking her attitude and how she sort of take charge, but also she's a great teacher and just a great granny, and how she sort of takes Sei under her wings, how she teaches her, how she instructs her, it teaches her things. I really, really enjoyed that. It doesn't play like a huge part of the story, but seeing that and some things woven in was really, really good in this, I was going to say final volume. It's not the final volume, thankfully, but seeing it unfold in volume 7 and volume 6. I can't wait to see more of her. Really excited to know where this story is going. Like, I need volume 8. I need volume 8, friends. It is such an amazing and beautiful series. Like I said, it's right up there with Start the Red Hair, has a very special place in my heart now. I wish it wasn't so underrated, because I feel like even though it's got a second season, I don't really know many people who have read this series or know much about it in general. So I hope that this review was helpful. I hope that I can put it on your radar and that it made you interested. I would highly recommend it if you need a chill isekai series with an older heroine who has some of the most funniest moments, sweetest moments, and just really great moments of seeing a young woman be able to pursue her passion and grow as an individual, and especially grow as a saint in this other world by helping other people, using her magical abilities to help those around her, and hopefully have one of the sweetest romances I've ever seen. I love it so much. Highly recommend this series, but I would love to hear from you, friends. Do you enjoy reading isekai? Are there any that you would recommend? I would love to hear from you, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!